welcome back to the Functional Spirituality Podcast. Today, I want to share another episode off the back of the last one about parenting, where the last episode was more my advice to new parents, which was really me sharing what has been really hard and what I had found really helpful when I looked back on my journey as a new parent. Now I want to share a little bit about what has been really challenging and what has been really helpful, and through that my advice for toddler parents as the kids are getting older. And like the other ones, if you don't have kids, I think you will find this really interesting because we all were kids and we all are kids, meaning that we have child pieces still inside of us that we all probably know about and come out to relate in our adult dynamics. And yeah, being the parent of a toddler has been such an interesting challenge. It's a challenge because it's new. It requires new skills. It's a new experience of challenges and issues and dynamics that I've never faced before and I've never had to understand before. So in that, it's been a challenge. It's been a big challenge. It hasn't been traumatizing. And if you've listened to some of the other episodes on this podcast, I speak about the difference between a challenge and then a trauma. So a trauma is a challenge that is unmanageable and extends beyond our capacity to process the challenge. So otherwise, a challenge is something that is exciting, something that builds our capacity, builds our confidence, stimulates us, connects us. We grow through challenges. We might call that good stress. And then there's the kind of challenges that extend beyond our capacity, and then they end up diminishing our capacity because of the amount of the challenge that wasn't able to be processed remains unprocessed, kind of bogging down our system. So if you go a few episodes back, there's one called My Most Important Work, I think, which speaks about a little bit more about that mechanism of trauma. So I've got a 18-month-old and the challenge has been great. It's been stimulating. It's demanded me to learn more and understand more and to get better at relating. And as I think about the biggest challenges in my life so far, I've done a lot of things that were stimulating and that were new and required development of skills. But if I think about the really big challenges, they've all been relationships. If I think into the last 10 years, the biggest challenges that I've had would be my relationship with my significant other, and then my relationship within my business with my team. And both of them have been traumatizing. Jared's probably not going to like that I said that. They've traumatized me in that they have diminished my capacity. And then they've also kind of, with both of them, I've come out the other side and they've just become amazing. There's nothing more fulfilling, enriching, nourishing, connecting, resourcing in my life. There's nothing that I love more in my life than my relationship with Jared and my relationship with my team and the people that I work with within my business. And they were both the source of trauma before. And, because of that, there's just such a depth of connection and there's just so much love in my heart, like more than I have for Jasmine, because I guess we haven't gone through that and come out the other side. But anyways, coming back to this challenge of being a toddler parent. So I think, for me, ever since Jasmine turned 1, she was toddling well before that, kind of talking and walking and all of those things. So she really kind of stepped into that next phase when she turned 1 year old. I noticed the shift. And I want to share with you the times where I really, really, really didn't like hanging out with Jasmine. And right now, I call her all the time. Like when I'm talking to her, I'm like, who's my best friend in the whole world? Like I love hanging out with her. We have so much fun and we have like all of these bestie adventures and we just have the best time. So right now that relationship has shifted. So I want to share with you the kind of shifts that happened from when I really, like I wrote in my notes here, from when I realized I hated hanging out with Jasmine. And people are always like, no, I hate the word hate, or like never use the word hate. But that's definitely how I felt. I really disliked hanging out with her. Yeah, and for what happened to shift that to make me feel like, oh, I love hanging out with her. So I want to share those with you. And I thought before I go into that, I want to share a little bit more. I want to give a bit of context to my parenting style. So I've definitely developed a style. I've developed a persuasion, a philosophy, an approach based on what I've kind of seen and what I've studied. You know, I look at all these different styles out there. I've spoken a lot about the difference between gentle and authoritative styles, and how they can both kind of be on the extreme end sometimes, or they can like at the extreme end of each of these, they can both be really toxic. But I want to share with you first an observation that I've made that I think is happening in our time now. So, like in our generation of parents of young children, I've seen that there is a tendency, people are moving much more towards a gentle approach. So, people are being more sensitive to the fact that they need to be attentive, that they need to be engaged, that they need to stimulate, that they need to serve, that they need to be present with their children. And I've also seen a growing trend, within parents and within our wider culture as well, a growing trend towards being sensitive to the potential for harm more than being like sensitive to the opportunity for connection, co-regulation, clarity, communication, confidence, boundaries. There's like a leaning towards being more yin and being more gentle, providing children with a lot of choice, providing children with less rules, providing children with a lot of nurturing, a lot of contact, a lot of presence. And I have seen that tendency, and I think because it is really, I've noticed that it kind of dominates our spaces now. I feel myself leaning towards wanting to advocate for the importance of being strong and confident as a parent, because I see that people are leaning towards being more passive and more sensitive because they really don't want to be aggressive and they don't want to be guilty. There's such a strong, it's actually, people think it's like, because I love my kids so much, I want the best. Very often I see there's something inside, but it comes out clear as day in the language that's being used, that people are scared that they might do something wrong. They're scared that they might be accused of causing harm by the kids or by other parents. It's just like, yeah, people are talking about it all the time. And that it comes down, like no one says this, but it really comes down that people would rather be the victim than the perpetrator. And that's just the kind of movement to the other side of the scale, the other side of the balance scale. In the past, people were wanting rather to be the perpetrator. There was a culture moving towards more to be dominant, to assert yourself and to win and to protect yourself and your family, to be more on the offense and to be more aggressive and to be stronger. And now there's this kind of movement to being more passive and more sensitive, rather not say anything, rather just give everything that you have to people, and definitely never wanting to be accused or never wanting to feel guilty that made the wrong choice. And we really want to come into a place of being vigilant and considerate. We don't want to be aggressive. We don't want to be a perpetrator, but we don't want to be a victim. So the kind of healthy yang quality will be to be vigilant. So to be onto it, to be discerning and sharp and clear and present. And then the yin quality is not to be passive and sensitive, it's to be considerate. to really be checking in with yourself and with others. Are you feeling good? If not, what's not feeling good? How can I support you? What do you need? Listening and being present, and then doing something with the information that you've heard and moving towards something that feels good for everyone. That's the healthy balance. So we're not only trying to protect ourselves and protect others from experiencing harm, but we're also actively seeking opportunities for connection, co-regulation. That's what our kids need. That's what our relationships need. That's what we need. We don't just need to be sensitive, passive, and, victims and so on. I see this as well, especially in like the motherhood circles I'm in. I see that we're very willing to accept and tolerate things that feel bad more than we need to, thinking that we're serving others, we're offering ourselves, we're giving of ourselves, and it's true we might do that, but essentially it depletes ourselves. It depletes our relationships. It's not a strong and healthy relationship, so we're not doing service when we accept and tolerate things that don't feel bad. It's not serving the people that we're tolerating and the issues that we're tolerating. So I hope that is interesting and meaningful for you as something to think about, and really open to questions and debates about that perspective that I have. I want to share 3 experiences with you in my toddlerhood journey so far. Like, it's only been really 6 months. I'm sure there's a lot more that I'm going to face, be challenged by, and hopefully overcome and enjoy. But yeah, 3 experiences that were really challenging and then became good, a source of connection. I've shared the first one already back, 6 months ago, really, where I was not liking hanging out with Jasmine. I didn't like the role of kind of babysitting. I felt it was boring. I was like, what am I doing here? This is the worst job ever. And what happened actually was that so I'll just go really quickly through this. And what happened was that I realized that what I didn't like, what I was accepting and tolerating that felt really, really bad for me, was that my job when I was looking after Jasmine was to continuously distract her from getting unsettled and wanting my boobs. She was just continuously wanting my boobs and to breastfeed, and was unsettled by it. And like, fast forward now, like, we stopped breastfeeding and it was amazing. Our whole relationship shifted. We could connect. She wasn't only unsettled in my presence. Like, we could connect the way she connected to other people. When she connected with me, she was always unsettled and grabbing at me. And when she did breastfeed, she was bicycle kicking and scratching and so unsettled, so it wasn't even serving her. And it's funny, like, Jasmine is just an eating machine. So right now, the only source of her tantrums is snacks. She just wants to snack continuously. So it obviously, is a thing for her that she really likes food. She eats well, which, obviously is a good thing, but she also eats everyone else's food. Like, you take her where there's other kids and she'll just eat everyone's food. So yeah, that's a thing for her, where she's kind of needs to be distracted from her desire of food at the moment. So now I want to share with you something that was a really big shift. And this was just a few months ago. Things had shifted from the breastfeeding. I was feeling a lot better in terms of parenting her and hanging out with her when we used to hang out. But, it's a little bit draining or a little bit depleting to not be able to perform any adult activities, wanting to cook or clean or take care of myself or do yoga or paint or read or, learn Spanish or whatever the hell I want to do that's an adult activity. Not able to do that because, someone's pulling on your leg and wants to be picked up or wants to be like attended to all the time. So that was like a bit of a pain. And I had this experience one day where Jasmine didn't go down for a nap the way she normally did. And so I laid in bed with her and she kept wanting to get up and she didn't want to go for her nap. So I was like, okay, cool, let's hop up. And so we hopped up and I was like, well, normally when she has a nap, that's when I make lunch and I prepare dinner and I do make a grocery list. So I was like, okay, fine, you don't nap, but I'm still going to do all the stuff that I need to do. And so I did. I went on with my day. I made lunch and then I started baking, and she would come up to me and start to pull on my leg and start to like whinge and whine. And I'd come and say up, up, and I'd come down to her level, like crouch down, and I would say, would you like to go for a nap? Is it time for a nap now? You ready to go? And she would hop up and run away. And that just happened all day long. Every time she came, I just care, and she would run away and go and potter and go play with her toys. And then she would come back to me whinging and asking to come up. And I'd come down, give her a cuddle, and be like, "You ready to go for a nap now? Should we go lay down and go to bed?" And she'd be like, and then run away and go play again. And that happened all day long, and we had the best day ever. And from that moment on, I got this idea in my head that she doesn't need to be picked up. She's whinging and whining, and she's used to me kind of answering that whinge and whine in a particular way that definitely wasn't serving me, but wasn't serving her either. So this definitely got me on to and interested in the idea of boredom, letting them be bored a little bit more. And it has just changed our relationship. I told Jared from that day on, and we just had such a good time, like for the next few, because Jared was actually away, so I was solo parenting, and for the next few days we had a great time. And I just knew that I'm going to do whatever I want the entire day. And if she needs something, I'll completely attend to her. I'll give her a snack. If she really needs me to play with her, I'll have a play with her, but I'm not going to follow her around every second of the day because she's whinged and whined and I think she needs me, because she actually doesn't. And there are times when she's been playing alone for so long and I actually want to go play with her. I want to get on the floor, I want to like give her a cuddle, read a book, slot some blocks into whatever and like have a little play, and we'll do that, and then I'll go off again and do my own thing. And if she's whinging and whining, I know it's not because my job is to follow her around and to be her little toddler best friend. My job is to be a parent and to step into her world periodically. And that has been such a huge shift. I've never felt it's a problem to hang out. The only thing that I'm limited by when we do hang out is that I can't fully drop in for like 1 or 2 hours on my desk and, record a podcast or something. I have to only be doing activities where I can step out of it if I need to grab her something. So, I can do any housework at all that I need. I don't feel anymore that I have to do housework when she's napping, or cook only when she's napping. That's kind of put to the side. I do my activities and she can do her activities around me, and that has worked really well. It means that I have to tolerate whinging and whining, and I have to be really attuned to when she actually has a need and respond to that need. So that's been a really huge shift and felt really good. And then that has kind of evolved further with about a month ago, one of the moms from Playgroup recommended a book called Hunt, Gather, Parent, about a journalist who goes to some like traditional tribes and families and kind of remote places and sees how they parent and how it's so different from Western parenting. Of course, one of the main things is that it's never just one parent and one or more children. It's always just many people. A child will always see, 10 to 15 faces every single day. I recommend the book. There's something that I took from it that I really loved, which was to really allow children to be in their child-centered activities and adults to be in their adult-centered activities, and to coexist together. So for adults not to think that they need to be playing on the floor all day with children, to have a tolerance for the kids to be bored. And I really proactively organize for always, like every single day, Jasmine sees other people's faces besides myself and Jared and Justin. Every single day she sees someone else's face. So either people will come over, or she'll go into town, or she'll go to playgroup, or she'll go to a friend's house, so that she isn't in that kind of unnatural environment where she's going to get frustrated from only seeing one person's face, and that the lack of relational stimulation. And even if I just have an adult over and the adults can talk, she will happily play around us and interact with us a little bit. And, the adults are happy to step into that child-centered world, but to just really feel and honor that difference. So there's just even more of a focus on allowing her to be bored, setting her up in different environments where she can then be bored and then go and explore. And I've just experienced the most amazing things happening when she's bored and when I don't fill the space with talking to her. So really letting her be bored. So not kind of, worried that she's going to whinge or worried she's going to be bored. So I'll start talking, letting her just be on her own, and she'll do amazing things. She'll play, she'll have a chat, she'll count to 10, she'll play with her toys and sometimes surprise me with the amazing things that she does. So I'll start to wrap up the podcast because, I like to keep them short, under 25 minutes or so. And I guess a big takeaway for me over the last few months is that if something isn't feeling good, it's something to look at. If I'm feeling like something doesn't feel quite right, that I'm, my days are spent either in activities that don't serve me, or I feel like my job is to continuously distract and entertain Jasmine, like being aware that that doesn't feel good. It doesn't mean I have to like fix something or change something or make demands or make strategies right away, but just being sensitive that maybe there's an improvement here. And that's how I've always been with everything that's happened. I've, when with the night weaning or the breastfeeding or the playing or whatever it is, I've felt like something doesn't feel quite right here. An improvement is to be made. And I'm starting to kind of think about what doesn't feel right? What are other options? And it's just kind of percolating in my mind. And, with that, things have really shifted. Things are feeling so good. And I'm feeling like, oh my God, it's only been a year and a half. And I'm feeling so settled into this. Yep, I could do another one. It would be so much easier. And in fact, I've just learned so much that actually it'd be a shame not to have another one and waste this huge learning curve that I've been on. So yeah, there's a little update from me. We're about to go on a 2-month trip, including many long haul flights, and I was feeling anxious about it, but now I'm just feeling so excited. All it means is that there's going to be friends and snacks for 2 months, and Jasmine is going to have the best time. So I'm really looking forward to our family holiday. There'll be a little break on the podcast of me sharing new things, but we have a few special little series that we'll be sharing in the next few weeks on the podcast. So tune in, and we'll always have our meditations. We've got recordings from our free Monday morning meditations that happened in June. We'll be sharing that with you on the podcast, the recordings of those for you to enjoy as well. So wishing you a beautiful week and look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you for tuning in to the Functional Spirituality Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe by pressing the plus button on iTunes or the following button on Spotify. This is going to ensure that this resource is available and top of mind when you most need it. So please subscribe now.